Hello all! Do you know that the European Green Deal aims for carbon-neutral European Union by 2050? This implies the decarbonisation of transport sector, now responsible for almost 25% of greenhouse gases emissions in Europe. Did you know that catching a scooter or an electric bus are actions directly linked to mobility and energy? And that by doing that, you are contributing to reaching EU Green Deal goal? Gareth is the Director of Innovation for the EIT Urban Mobility, and he's today with us. Gareth, welcome.
Hi, lovely to be with you.
A pleasure to have you with us. So, I would say the first question is compulsory. What is mobility and energy, and where do we find examples of it in our daily urban mobility habits?
I think the first and most important thing to say, energy is part of our everyday life. When we think about transport, it's your movement, whether you're walking, you're using energy from your food, or whether you're going in a car, you're using energy from petrol and carbon-based. So we can't ever divide the fact that mobility requires energy. What we are considering is that the type of energy used and the shift that we're trying to make towards electricity and hydrogen energies is a major change, and it will have an impact. However, our electricity and the hydrogen and the energy needed to make our new fuels should also come from renewables. So we will see a shift in the type of vehicles we're using, the type of storage we need, and that energy question will and is changing as we speak.
Indeed, and actually to make all this happen, what are the needs at policy level to ensure that we unleash the full potential of mobility and energy in every city?
Did you know I'm actually very proud that the EU does have a strong and active policy on the energy and our move to climate adaptation. I think the European Union can be proud of being a leader, driving, and we're seeing our countries being some of the first to declare that they will be moving to a neutral position. How do we as car producers and car users feel about this? We're already seeing the individual impact of some of these policies. For example, you might have a classic car, or a family who has less money may not be able to buy a more modern car that is electric or hybrid. And these are the social questions. When we make a policy, we can't forget policies impact people. And I think as we're trying to encourage achieving our goals, we need to think about everybody and how they can play their part. And I think that's going to be a challenge. We have an inclusion area within our own priorities of innovation, and hopefully we'll find ways to ensure that everybody can play their part in achieving these very important global goals that Europe is trying to fix and to give an example by.
And let's now pass the microphone to our audience. As you may have noticed, we launched a call for questions for this interview on our social media some days ago. Out of those who sent us those questions via direct message or in comments, we selected two. Let's go with the first one. As we invest more in technology, what would be the role of performance, adaptive mobility and dynamic transport management?
Very good question. Our cities and our concession companies for public transport have invested huge amounts of money in technology. And we need to be able to use that data provided to be able to make clever decisions, faster real-time decisions, so we can dynamically manage our cities. For example, if we do have a route in which there's high levels of pollution, with a proper dynamic transport mobility system, we would be able to avert traffic to other routes, or if a driver decided to use that main artery that had the pollution issue, then they should pay. Now, if we were to do that, we have to make sure that information flows freely and that people are conscious of those decisions. Trying to implement penalties on people for day-to-day actions in their life without fully understanding the consequences, no politician locally will accept that. So for us to have dynamic mobility and integrated management of it, we need to be transparent, include the public, and help them understand their individual choices together have a huge impact. So there's a great scope, and we will be funding some interesting projects in the near future on demand responsive transport in supporting dynamic utilities, in the sense of we'll be helping bus companies. You know, if we will charge more to come in on a main artery, well, we do need to decrease the pricing of the metro ticket or the bus ticket on that same route. You know, we can't just penalise people with the new technology. We have to actually help them move and feel free in their city.
That's actually a very good point indeed. And let's go for the second question we received on social media. Electric and hydrogen are two keywords when talking about mobility and energy. In your view, how do you envisage the evolution of those means of transport at the urban mobility level in medium and long term?
Well, I think we can definitely say there's huge progress on the adoption of electrical vehicles. So we go from our e-scooters to new car batteries being developed and the availability of charging stations. So there's a familiarity which the general public has with electricity, and transferring that to our mobility sector is going to be far easier to attain in the midterm. When it comes to hydrogen, there's a lot of potential, but that familiarity question, the question of safety, the question of understanding, is going to take longer for people to adapt there. Who could lead us? Well, cities and large-scale logistic companies may well be able to adopt hydrogen faster. They've got better infrastructure, and they may be the ones that will help the general public to see my bus, my transport is powered by hydrogen, and it will be easier gradually. So in the long term, we may see an increase of hydrogen use in public transport and logistics. But right now, electricity has the edge. We do need to think about how the cleanliness of the electricity and the power used. So we think about the production. So if we have coal-burning power stations producing the electricity for our electric cars, it doesn't really help us. So we do have to think about the whole value chain from the production to the consumption and use.
That's totally right. Indeed, there are several players in this game and several roles to be taken. And linked to that, what is the role of us, citizens, in all this? How can we support that mobility and energy contributes to making cities more livable?
One of the things that's interesting is local generation. So we're looking at micro-generation from individual homes with solar panels to community housing with rooftop panels, wind turbines. There's lots of different mechanisms, and we're looking at the development of microgrids. And they're far more resilient, and we're actually looking at the potential of the citizens can play a part in that. Now, all of us are going to be included. For example, in Spain, very soon individual homes will have to produce 20% of their energy from renewables. And that's the type of thing that policy can lead us to move forward. But the citizen individually, cumulatively, our actions make a big difference. And as we're looking to the next 5 to 10 years, we'll see great change in that. But the one thing is to be done is those microgrids, how they function, how people trust each other, how we use our car. During the day, your car's electricity will power where you go. But at night, your car could also act as a sort of a mini battery moving between these microgrids to sell back the energy that's been stored during the night and have enough energy for you to get to work in the morning. That whole idea of trust models in these new microgrids, understanding the billing, understand how that works. Citizens are going to have to start thinking a little bit about their role, but there's a level of complexity that's our responsibility to simplify for the citizen so they can understand and participate in the role of energy and mobility in the future.
Basically, that's it. In a nutshell, we all play a role in making this world and its streets more livable. Gareth McNaughton, Director of Innovation for the EIT Urban Mobility, thanks a lot for joining us today.
Great. We're looking forward to lots more opportunities to meet with our partners in the next few months. Thanks a lot.
And If you want to learn more about how to improve the quality of life in cities through urban mobility, follow us on our social media channels and stay tuned. Next month will be the turn for future mobility. See you soon!